Can you talk about leadership? Because I
Yeah.
see you at almost every meeting that I go to, and I know you've taken on leadership roles with the affinity groups and also within our local associations.
Yes, I can. Okay, so I am currently the Women's Council of Realtors president for Portland Metro. And that has been actually probably one of the most challenging leadership roles I've been in, because we don't have the support like you would have for your local or your state levels. You have, it's just you. And you experience this with Aria, right?
Yeah.
It's just you guys putting on the show.
Yep.
And you have to deal with everything. You don't have somebody helping you. You don't have staff helping you create the events or telling you what the bylaws are, or all of that. So that's been definitely a challenging position for me. But I love the growth that it provides for women to want to become leaders, and allowing them to say, you can do it. And it's okay if you have 6 kids. Like, you can still be a leader and go home and cook dinner too. But let's all cry on each other's shoulders about it as well. Like, that support is very much needed in our industry and to grow female leadership as well.
Hey guys, welcome to the Realized Gains podcast. I'm Stephen Tran.
And I'm your co-host, Jordan Lee here. And we're super excited to have Cindy Thackery on the show. Hey, Cindy, do you mind just giving us your sort of background? Like, are you from the area and kind of how you found yourself where you are today?
Absolutely. So Cindy Thackery, I'm a managing broker here at John L. Scott, and I have 3 offices. I also do Columbia County and Beaverton. And I grew up in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
I went to high school in St. Helens. And
how big was your graduating class?
Like 150, maybe.
Nice.
Maybe 175 if you're pushing it. But yeah, small town. My parents are still there, and my mother-in-law, and moved around the country and went to Arkansas and Texas and Washington, and we came back home.
Oh, really?
2009. And wanted to be closer to family after the crash of everything. And so we've been back here since then.
What was all the movement for?
Well, that's where I met my husband. And then following his career.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does he do?
Fire sprinklers, and was in the military.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, I guess that's...
And how? So what were you doing for your career before you kind of found your way into real estate?
Oh, so I was a stay-at-home mom for a hot minute. I had the minivan, I was doing it right. And then we, with the crash of 2009, we came back from Texas. We had a rental here. We moved back into that. I swore I would never live in it. Had to eat crow. But yeah, we lived here. And then I was like, well, I'm going to help out. And I think I'm ready to, the kids are in preschool and stuff like that. So I became a dental assistant.
Okay.
And for pediatrics. And that was very riveting, as you can imagine.
So I always think about this, like when we talk to people about buying rentals, I always think about it's like, oh, worst case scenario, like I can just move back there and whatever, sell everything off. So you guys actually did that.
Yeah, we did. And my husband actually had bought it in, it was like 95 or something. So the payment on it, he bought it for like $150,000 then, right? These houses now are going for, I think, $550 over in Bethany area. So our payment was really a nice sweet spot to just be like, okay, let's start over and get back on our feet. We're here with family and back to Oregon, where nothing's like Oregon.
And that's the interesting thing, because like at that time, right, it felt like a bad investment because the values had come down a ton.
Right.
But because you were able to wait it out, now it's worth money again, right?
Right. I mean, real estate's the buy and hold.
Right.
Buy and hold, unless you're like flipping or something, right? But typically, you got to hang on to it. It shouldn't be a rash decision.
So you were pediatric dentistry, and then what? What was the transition?
I hated it.
Yeah, that's a good reason.
I mean, it gives you drive, right? You're like, I had the dentists where they were coming to me asking me advice about buying properties. And I had bought my first property when I was 21.
So you because you had been investing in real estate before.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was trying to give them tips about purchasing their first homes. And so I was like, okay, why are the dentists coming to me for this? Maybe I really need to look into making a career of this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just can't. I was grinding my teeth. I hated my job so much. And I was like, that's a sign.
Was it because the kids were unhappy?
Well, I had back up a little bit. I had gone from pediatric into endo, which is like root canals.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really painful procedures, right?
Horrible experience for everybody involved. And so it was not my thing. I was like, it's time. I'm just going to do this. And we had the opportunity to be able to do that. And from that point on, here I am.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
That was what year was this when that transition happened?
2013.
Okay, so since 2013, you went from just getting your license to now managing 3 entire brokerages?
Yeah, I got I got the principal broker's license 3 years after getting my regular license.
Okay.
And was asked to manage, and so I did it. I did it scared. Right?
So you did the minimum. You waited the minimum 3 years, and you just jumped right into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's fun to look back and be like, oh yeah, no, I really didn't know as much as I thought I did. But I've learned a lot, and I took a lot of, I want to make sure I know how to either find the answers if I don't know the answers. But I took it very seriously. And
well, quick question. I mean, you got your principal broker's license, right? And so did you go immediately to managing an entire brokerage office?
Yes.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah. Not even just like a team or anything?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I also, little side story here is I didn't know I was pregnant. I was like 3 months pregnant. And I thought I was just stressed out about taking on this new position. I was like, get control, Cindy. Oh my gosh, you're just taking on a new position, new job. And I was like super nauseous, couldn't drink wine or coffee. And I was like, there's something wrong with me. I had a baby.
You're going to have to let everybody know how many kids you have.
So we have 6 kids. Waiting for the pause. All the mouths just dropped. What? Okay, I did not birth all 6. The 3 older boys are my bonus sons, and I became their stepmom when I was 19.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and
how old were they?
5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
Yeah, and they lived with us, and they were with me when my husband deployed. And then we had 3 more.
So was that relationship more older sister or is it more mom?
It was probably more mom.
When you started, but what about now? Because you guys are not that much different age.
That much different. Yeah, there's. It's really funny when we go on trips together and we're all in Safeway and everybody thinks that my husband's our father.
Right. Yeah.
And so, my husband doesn't hate that. I mean, he does hate that. But yeah, so a house full, and it's been great. They are all over the country right now. So I don't get to see them once they grow up. It's hard. You don't get to do all the family pictures and stuff and Easter egg hunts and stuff like that together. But now I got grown kids, and
I kind of want to go back. You kind of glossed over you had invested in some real estate before you bought a home when you said you were 21. Because I kind of want to hear your perspective on buying and investing in real estate before you kind of got trained in real estate and before you became a realtor, and what some of your successes were and some of the pitfalls were during that period, because it was a totally different environment then too as well, right?
Yes.
And you were moving around the country, so it'd be like, did you just buy primaries and then keep buying new primaries when you moved, or how did that work?
Yeah, we did. Before I met my husband, I was already I already had the bug. I was already in college. I would get the magazines because I'd print them all in magazines at the time. And those little newspaper stands on the corner. And so I would grab one of those and I'd assess it and I'd be like, okay, this is what I'm paying for rent for college.
Really early on, huh?
Really early on.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would have been 18 going, that makes sense. And I could buy this for this amount in cash flow. So I was already kind of doing that math and I had the bug already. Luckily, my husband also is very mindful of investments. And so together we became a powerhouse, and we bought our first property, and then I bought some land. And then we had to move. And so we'd kind of buy and hold and move all over.
Was he utilizing his VA loan
Yes.
the whole time, or how does that work?
He was. And that's when you're using just a standard VA loan, but a regular VA loan, federal loan, you can buy it and then rent it, buy more, rent it. With your state loan, that's different. You can't do that if you have it in your state. But yeah, we're doing one. He used to live in, this is going to sound really weird, but he was doing a job across the country. So he was living in Virginia. And I was like, I'm done moving. So you go do you, climb up the ladder, and we'll be here. And so he was renting a place there, ended up buying it from
That's
them.
not you said that sounds really weird, but that's not terribly uncommon for military families, right? When you're moving that much.
Yeah. This was a civilian position, but it was hard. He was across the country. To us, everybody's like, how are you doing it? But it was our normal. I'm used to him being deployed and used to being, So for us, that was like totally normal. In our relationship, it was never really weird. When you hear other families are like, oh my God, my husband's gone for the weekend, I don't know what I'm going to do with the kids. I'm like, what are you talking about?
But that also gave you the ability to buy two primaries at once too, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of a hidden value of that situation, right?
Exactly.
Because from an underwriting perspective, well, you've got because you're living in two different places.
Yeah. So he was able to do that in Virginia, and we've had that place for several years, 8 years. Renting it out successfully and moving that. Actually, we're doing a 1031 now. So,
And market wise, so you've seen kind of a broad view of different markets. Is there something that you've been tuned into in different markets, or is it more like the same kind of principles of real estate apply to whatever market you're in, or how is it more like I just want to be in the good school district? Like what has been your kind of overarching philosophy when you've identified properties?
It's usually we're looking at spaces that are going to have a potential growth. So trying to get in early to
like
areas,
newer neighborhoods or areas.
Kind of like not everybody on here is going to know, but like the Bethany area, he bought into that early.
Oh,
right. Really early.
That's where I live.
Yeah. The North Plains area, buying into that early when they started. South Hillsboro. When you get in early to those, then your investment tends to increase quicker.
So, and then this time you're like you're not in real estate. You're not a real estate professional. How are you sussing that out? Like, how are you learning where the areas are that are developments are going to be? Like, how do you get in early, or how do you plan to get in early?
If you're not in
if you're not in the know, so to speak,
you should talk to your real estate agent.
There we go.
Yeah. And that's honestly, when I wasn't in real estate, that's what we were doing. We're talking to community members on where to be and start locally because that's where you're comfortable. But if you really want to dip your toe in it, and I think part of the problem is we look at affordability, and even my kids are like, how am I going to ever be able to buy a home?
Right.
And it's hard because we do have a serious affordability crisis right now. And there was a trainer that was actually at one of our Oregon conventions a few years ago, and he talked about buying somewhere that you can afford, and that is then your rental. But it may be in Detroit, it's $150,000, but you're cash flowing that by $800 a month, and that starts your ladder of investments to buy your home, right? So I was like, gosh, that is such a great idea. So I've been talking to my kids about that too. We got to think of new ways to invest when you're a new investor. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like right here where it's expensive. I
mean, in that situation, they still have to go with an investor loan, 25% down,
right,
things like that.
Right. But it's a lot easier to come up with 25% down on a $150,000 loan.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, like, you know, I've always thought that 25% down is the way to go too. And I think historically rates and costs have shown that, but it's funny, those things change. Like because it's always 15 is the minimum. So the typical advice I say to my clients is like, okay, we can look at 15, but you might be interested in 20 or 25 depending on the rate and term. But I actually just looked at a a 15% down option for a client. And in this environment where we're at today, it definitely made more sense for her to put 15% down with her 800s credit score, because she would just pay 1 point and the rate in term would be the same. I mean, she had to pay a little bit of mortgage insurance, like whatever, $50, $60 a month, because she had excellent credit. But the amount of savings that she had, that's putting 10% down, right? So I think there's been times in the past where the rate delta was more, but right now it's pretty good for putting less down on investment properties, which is surprising to me.
For sure.
Go ahead.
I was just saying for sure.
So you found properties that were kind of in developing areas, and then what was your you said you were doing a 1031 exchange. What was your expected, or what has been the average time that you felt like between buying a primary home, living in it for a bit, and then moving out and renting it before it became, this investment that was like, yes, I definitely made the right decision? Because I know for me, on my first place, it was like almost 8 years before I felt comfortable moving on. And now it's like, that was a great decision, right? Because in hindsight, always 2020. But what was your experience because you've been in a bunch of different markets?
I think, a bunch of different markets,
a
bunch of different timelines.
Does it depend?
It really does depend. And I think it also depends on when that right new investment comes along. I can say none of them were actually truly planned. But we've had anywhere from, we held for 15 years, we held for 5 years, we held for 8 years. It's just not, there isn't really, it's when is the time, because you found another investment that can maybe start producing you quicker returns, right?
Was there anything in these particular areas, like you mentioned, North Plains and Hillsborough, that screamed to you like this area is going to appreciate quickly? Like, I don't know, for example, like Intel is popping up or anything like that.
Yes, that is, you're always looking at what is growing in the industry around that neighborhood, around that community, because that's where all the workers go, and that's right. We need them to be able to pay their rents, and also it'll appreciate, because they want to be in those communities, and the more people you have coming into those communities, typically it grows the schools, gets them better report cards. It's and I've seen it change through the years also in our surrounding neighborhoods here around Beaverton, where it used to be kind of the interesting area, what's going on over there, to wow, that's really coming back to life. There's people moving in, wanting to take care of their properties, and the values are starting to increase because of that. And so watching some of that too is a big key.
Okay. And with these new and upcoming neighborhoods, were you mostly buying new construction to get into those neighborhoods?
No. One was new construction. One was a condo. One's a farm. One's a regular neighborhood. regular cul-de-sac, Yeah.
And have you found, so now that you're on the other side, you've been in real estate for, decade plus, how has your strategy refined from kind of, getting help from realtors, buying primaries, to like a more, I guess, nuanced view of looking at evaluating investment properties? Are you still looking at single family stuff? Like what is your mindset now, I guess?
Yeah. It's still kind of all over the place. We're looking at outside states.
Okay. So you're not constrained to the local market or a market that you know really well. You're happy to just do research and invest based on fundamentals.
Yep. And some of them we're looking at some potential flips as well, and coming in and doing some homes. And don't you do some of those?
I've done one or two.
Yeah. So looking at some of those outside of Oregon, we've been looking in Hawaii and Michigan, all over the place.
Well, with that, I mean, have you done a flip out of state before?
No.
Okay. So
this is a new.
Well, how do you envision that going?
Really horrible.
So how do you plan for a situation like that? Like, you're hiring out of state contractors and you got to somehow keep them accountable. What is the game plan for that?
Yeah. That's really great, because my husband is in construction, and so he's got a mind for it. Okay. So he is my counterpart.
So he can kind of evaluate a house pretty quickly. And
he can, and he'll know generally what a cost would be to do a roof replacement, or we've done a lot of, I guess, our own flips in a sense, put a lot of the elbow grease in ourselves, which I said I'd never do again. But we're still married, so it went well. So he really does have a mindset of how do we invest and how do we do it affordably, do it good, and he can manage people really well in that.
Okay, that's super helpful.
Contract world, yeah. So it'll be his problem.
I don't have to think about this.
I just find the house. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, we know you have the big farm out in North Plains.
I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, talk to us about a farm.
The
What
farm,
are some
farm
advantages of owning a farm?
There aren't any.
How many acres is it?
We have 10 acres.
Oh, geez.
It is a vineyard. It was a COVID purchase. It was we're stuck at home. And I am very much of I have to be doing something all the time. I come by it honestly from my dad and have to be working, even if it's raining, I just have to be physically working.
Okay.
And so I got bored. And randomly, all the emails we get from other agents that are like, this new house on the market.
Yeah.
We get hundreds of them. I never open them. I'm sorry, but I never do.
This is a lot.
Yeah. This one time I opened it and I was like, let's go for a drive. And we decided to buy it.
This is why you don't open those emails.
Don't open those emails. We were not planning on moving at all. We thought we would Google it and figure out how to run a vineyard. That did not work. Don't Google how to run a vineyard.
I mean, running a vineyard from scratch is a crazy investment.
So they are 35-year-old vines. So they're already
so
there.
you had the vines.
Yes.
But did they have the other equipment?
I wrote it into the contract.
Okay. Oh, so it was already set up as okay.
Yeah. And then we luckily had somebody knock on our door, a neighbor, and said, hey, I want to help you bring this place back to life. And he did. So.
Oh, cool.
I mean, what was the game plan if that guy didn't knock on your door?
We weren't there yet. It was literally a godsend that he came to our door. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, tell us the process of, obviously you have this farm now and you're trying to run a vineyard. What are the issues with running a vineyard and how come I haven't tasted your wine yet?
Well, because apparently it takes a really long time. I didn't Google that either. So it takes a really long time for the wine to be processed.
Yeah.
I don't even know where this literally could be the entire podcast about the vineyard, but it is vine season currently. Here it's April and it's vine season for us. So that means I'm spraying the field every other week. And we're completely organic. So the things I'm spraying are like sulfur. And cinnamon and kelp and things like that.
I had no idea.
I know.
Kelp.
Yeah. And so we're trying to maintain. Last night there was some frost, so I'm not sure what that's going to do to our vines this year. Last year we lost a third of our field because of late frost. Causes a mildew and just crumples up the grapes. So we'll see what happens. Say a little prayer for me.
How far along are your grapes right now, though?
Oh, they just sprouted.
Oh.
But an early frost, it creates the pores for mildew.
Yeah, mine are just the leaves are just coming out.
Just came out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys both make wine. I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't make wine.
I was like, what? You make wine?
I have table grapes. Yeah, just like 8 vines or
You
something.
make grapes.
I mean,
Loser. No, so we harvested our first harvest in 21. It sat in the barrel for 2 years, and then it's been sitting in my shop since then.
What variety?
It's a Pinot Noir.
Okay, yeah.
And it's starting to the notes are starting to level out a little bit. So it's a very bold
you're
wine.
aging it.
I'm aging it.
It's
Yeah.
a very bold wine.
When do you get to start drinking it?
I should have brought you a bottle, dang it.
Oh, okay.
I will. Okay. Next time I see you, I'll give you one.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could talk about winemaking forever, but
Right. But this is a real estate podcast, so let's get back to the
But
basics.
wait, I did want to hear one thing about, speaking of that, talk to us. Is there any sort of like tax advantages?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, let's at least cover that portion because that's interesting to people.
It's kind of interesting because it's a very small amount that you actually have to sell. It's $600. You have to sell $600 worth of a crop to get the tax advantage.
okay.
Which is, it's like a farm deferral or what?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I was like, what are you asking?
and like just in rough numbers, like let's say, so typically what would you expect your taxes to be on 10 acres about?
Oh, I don't know that.
But
You're the lender, but you know.
I mean, I guess it depends on the county and like your improvement of your house or whatever. But let's say if taxes are normally going to be like $10,000 or something like that, well, how much does that bring down your taxes? Mm-hmm. Does it bring it down to like 2,000 or?
No, our taxes definitely are not $2,000.
Or does it like cut them in half, or does it cut them in?
I don't know. I actually don't know that.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
okay.
Yeah,
But anyway, so you
idea.
get some property tax help, but then you also get other taxes other tax incentives as well from the business, or
you do. Well, yeah, because it's a full.
Any of your expenses you can write off, deduct from your
Yeah, and we sell more than $600 worth of our grapes. We have buyers that buy the grapes, and then we reserve some of that wine for ourselves. But.
So in addition, like theoretically, you could, instead of trying to make your own wine, you could just have someone come on and you could lease your grapes to somebody and have them come on and buy them and not have to deal with that part at all, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
And that might be where I want to go with
and still get the kind of the same tax advantages, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as long as you make $600, it could be in blueberries, it could be in apples, it could be anything. And that's the cutoff, is a $600 mark.
Well, can I ask, with this wine business, are you trying to make it take off, or is this more of a hobby, or are you you want it to replace all of your income? What is your goal with that?
I don't know yet. I don't know. It's one of those things within wine that you can kind of go anywhere with it. I could do a tasting room, or we do some events there, private events.
Do you have like an event space?
It would be an outside tented space, but with the vineyard dinners and stuff. So we could do that. It's really hard to get into the wine industry and to sell. And there's a lot of extra wine right now. Because apparently
saturated market.
During COVID, people were drinking lots of it, and it made a flux in the market. And
people scaled up their production based on this peak, thinking it was going to stay forever.
Exactly, and now people are not drinking as much wine. I don't know why they would ever do that, but the sales have gone down. So we're just kind of taking a break and taking it slow. And we have enough wine in our cellar right now to start something. So I think we'll start with that. We'll do some private sales.
Okay. No, I'm looking forward to trying a bottle.
Great.
Okay. Well, coming back a little bit to, obviously you have your real estate portfolio, you have the 6 kids to deal with, you have the farm, you have the winery. Yeah. I'm sure you have something else, but let's talk about going back to your being a managing broker for a brokerage. Can you tell us how your start was in that and what that looked like at the beginning?
I don't know if I want to talk about that.
The good and the bad.
The good and the bad and the ugly. Sure. I think it's like any career that you're going to level up in. There's always the self-doubt and personal emotions that come with that. There's always the judgment that's going to come with that. People can be mean. And so I think that you have to just expect that there's going to be challenges. And I knew that there was going to be lots of challenges. And I have a fairly thick skin, so I was able to get through it. It's not the same as it was when I first started, because I've proven myself. It's hard, I think, just more so the self conversation that you have and can I really do this? Right?
I mean, this was, what year was this? 2015, 2016? 2017. Okay. And so how big was the brokerage that you took over? And was there a lot of jealousy of those agents within the office feeling a certain way?
No, that was it was, I think we had like 25 to 30 agents there at the time. And they were they had doubt, but once I got them to like me, no,
which isn't hard.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't horrible. It was just, looking at somebody that had gotten their license 3 years prior can be very difficult to say, how are they going to possibly know how to answer my questions? Mm-hmm. Right. And they've all come to me and we've all had these conversations afterwards. And they said, you really impressed us because you were able to go find the answers. And now I just am so engulfed in the industry that I'm confident. My self-confidence is there to speak to what is needed to be spoken to. in my managing world, I guess.
Yeah. Did you feel like working on your management portion of the business kind of helped build your knowledge base for your selling portion of the business as well as your individual production? Yeah,
absolutely.
Because I feel like sometimes those two can be at odds, right? Because you're like not able to put as much time into prospecting or whatever when you're managing, but then there's also this whole idea of just building your knowledge base, right?
Right. Yeah, and I'm ultra involved. I maybe on more committees than I should because I can't say no.
I do see you at every meeting, so yeah.
Yeah, I think at one point this last year I was on 8 committees. But I'm dabbling my toe in all of them. But it is something I've learned. I just really nerd out on the real estate side of it. And I think that has shown to my agents that I really am serious about being here in the industry and being here for them.
So, I mean, can you talk about a time when you're more of a producing agent? Can you be a producing agent while you're a managing principal broker?
You can be.
Yeah.
I don't. I got a farm. I've got the managing. Yeah. I've got multiple offices. So I do enough to keep myself relevant. That's my theory. Is I'm not here to compete and do 40 transactions and still try to do it all. I want to be able to say, I know what you're going through.
Yeah.
And here's been my experience also, instead of being somebody that maybe 20, 30 years ago sold properties. And I'm only speaking to that because it has changed. You guys know it has changed so much in the last 3 months.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Always moving, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so to keep myself fluid with it, I do just enough in each year to just kind of make sure I'm still confident about what I'm preaching.
Okay. And, I mean, why would an agent want to go in the direction of being a managing principal broker or even a principal broker versus just being a high producing agent?
I have no idea. For me, so typically, to be honest, to be a producing agent, you're going to make more than what a managing broker makes. I do it. And I've heard from other people stating that other managers that they do it because of being able to help agents rise up in their careers. And there's something to be said about having a part in that in so many other people's lives too, and not just your own, that the fulfillment is much more than the paycheck.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's more of the coaching and the teaching and that's what I really love.
No, I love that. I mean, that's super valuable. And I know I lean on my managing principal broker a lot, especially when things get hairy.
Oh, yeah. We're more counselors than anything, like therapists. Yeah.
And talk about managing 3. I mean, you're only one person. So how do you manage 3 offices?
Yeah, I have set days that I'm at those offices. And, but they also all know that they can reach me even if I'm on my tractor. I let them know, just call me, text me. I will turn it off and call you right back. So they've all learned, and I think that's part of COVID too. They've learned how to communicate better and know that I am there for them, even if my butt's not in the seat kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know too much about this world, but enticing agents to your brokerage. Can you talk a little bit about that versus, them going to another brokerage or...
That's literally the hardest part of the job.
Yes.
It is so hard. Because you want to surround yourself by all your friends, right? You want to be like, hey, you need to come over here and work with us. But there's so many different models in real estate that it makes sense why people would choose different ones. It is about culture of the office very much. If somebody doesn't feel like they're fitting in, it's a very emotional decision. If they don't feel like they're fitting into that office, they're not going to last there. Yeah. And if they don't feel like they're getting the support, they're not going to last there. But it's very difficult to do. And it's difficult to know that you're bringing in the right person, because I've had that before where I thought this person was just going to be super great and it didn't work out, and that person's not super great. And then it has caused problems between other people in the community going, oh, why would you hire somebody like that who's mean?
Oh,
and
it's not just a producing.
No,
factor.
just
Okay.
personality wise.
Yeah.
So you're kind of playing Tetris with personalities a little bit as a managing broker to make sure that you are providing the right culture in your space that allows everybody to be there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No, that totally makes sense. And do you want to talk about? I'll let you tout John L. Scott's secret sauce if you want to.
Secret sauce. I can't tell you our secret
Well,
sauce.
I mean,
yet.
what would you want to tell to agents who are looking for a brokerage why they should be joining your brokerage in particular?
Oh, well, thank you. I was not prepared for that. John L. Scott's been here. I actually worked for John L. Scott right out of high school. I won't tell you what year that was. But right out of high school, I did a temp for their front desk, and I was putting their ads in the newspaper back
nice.
then. Yeah. And so when I decided real estate, I instantly interviewed with John L. Scott. And it was like feeling like I was home. More than just because I had worked there in high school, but it was really like I was sitting across the table from my dad and him saying, all right, what are we going to do? How are we going to get you into the business? And it's felt that way throughout. It's been, you know how family can be like, they're going to tell you like it is.
Yeah.
Also, that's kind of what I feel like John L. Scott is. They're going to tell you what you need to be doing. They're going to tell you how to succeed. But they're also going to tell you like, hey, pull your head out. Like, let's get it going. So it is very much a family feel in this company, all the way to the top where our CEO comes on a regular basis to talk to us. And that's not really heard of.
Yeah.
To have the big dog to come in to all of the offices and meet with them and take the time to discuss what's going on and have smaller group meetings with them. And, we're a fairly large Northwest company. We're only in the Northwest, but we ranked number 3 in the in the nation for amount of transactions per agent.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So we have high producing agents, and we try to keep agents here that are really wanting to be in the business, not just because they want to hang their license and call themselves a realtor. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So we kind of look at that, which then I believe really creates that leveling up culture within our office as well.
Yeah. No, I like like you mentioned the whole family aspect and the whole brutal honesty.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of part of the business. If you can't kind of take that, how are you going to survive in the industry, right?
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. And they did it to me when I became a manager. They gave me brutal honesty and we worked through it, and we're still family today.
Do you want to share any of those criticisms?
No, I do not.
Okay, no worries. Well, it seems like obviously your offices are doing great. Can you talk about leadership? Because, I see you at almost every meeting that I go to, and I know you've taken on leadership roles with the affinity groups and also within our local associations.
Yes, I can. Okay, so I am currently the Women's Council of Realtors president for Portland Metro. And that has been actually probably one of the most challenging leadership roles I've been in, because we don't have the support like you would have for your local or your state levels. You have, it's just you. And you experience this with Aria, right?
Yeah.
It's just you guys putting on the show.
Yep.
And you have to deal with everything. You don't have somebody helping you. You don't have staff helping you create the events or telling you what the bylaws are
yeah.
all of that. So that's been definitely a challenging position for me. But I love the growth that it provides for women to want to become leaders, and allowing them to say, you can do it. And it's okay if you have 6 kids. Like, you can still be a leader and go home and cook dinner too. But let's all cry on each other's shoulders about it as well. Like, that support is very much needed in our industry and to grow female leadership as well.
I hear a lot of people saying like, well, how is this going to help my business? Why do I need leadership? I'm just going to produce. Well, what do you think the value is in taking on leadership?
Yeah, it's in leadership and
just in general, like leadership, like we've taken for, WCR or in PMAR or wherever, why should we step into these roles that are basically volunteer roles?
Probably not a good day to ask that. No, just kidding. Just kidding. You know, I can only speak to me personally, but what it has shown my children of me being just like this badass. Can I say that on here?
Yeah.
Just having these leadership roles. My little daughter, I have 5 sons and a daughter, sees me working, and she sees me accomplishing dreams, and she sees me in these leadership roles, but she sees me also being mom, and she sees me also showing up at school and things like that for her. And I think it's important for, I think, the next generations to see that we can still do the hard things and still have family, and that doesn't have to deteriorate that mindset. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
No, of course.
Love that.
Yeah.
I mean, would you say there's any benefit to your business directly?
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's, well, especially as president, you meet people all across the country. Mm-hmm. And so I got a referral the other day from Florida, just called me out of the blue and has a family member that wants to sell here. And it was a women's council situation. And so you do meet, when you're in the leadership role, you meet people all over, and we are definitely a referral based business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that too. I mean, I'm always trying to encourage leadership. That's why I'm touting it on this podcast specifically, because everybody does ask me like, well, I have my business to run, I have these things. And, you know, I mean, of course, I love the leadership aspect that you spoke of. You know, I'm very proud of being able to, now I've leveled up in, you know, building my skill set as a leader, and knowing how to manage a lot of people in a lot of different situations. But yeah, the business does come. And, you know, that's something I want to emphasize to a lot of people, because referrals are the best leads because it's free.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's not just national leadership. It's local leadership too. And you meet people locally. So I'm also, we're only on number 2, president, let's see.
Upcoming?
Yeah. President-elect.
Yes, president-elect.
Is that? Yeah. President-elect for PMAR, which is Portland Metropolitan Association of Realtors. And so I help with managing all of our agents here in our Portland area. I think there's like 13,000 or something like that. Maybe a little less this year.
I was going to say like 8,000?
It might have gone down.
Yeah.
We might be more at like 8,000 or 9,000 now. Yeah.
7,000 or 8,000, I believe.
I don't remember
Somewhere
the numbers.
between there.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm obviously not managing them very well. I'm president-elect. Okay, guys, give me a break. So I participated in that, which is also part of advocacy for our communities here in surrounding Portland areas, and the bills that get passed for that, and who can we get on our who can we bend the ear of city representatives, and help them support our ideas of home affordability and where we need to go with all of that. So that's another one. And then I'm vice chair for government affairs for the state. So I get to deal with a lot of the bills that are being passed and not passed in state level.
Interesting.
Yeah. We've had more bills this year than we've had in 25 years across the board, not just on the real estate side of it, but just bill drops, period.
Would you like to share one of those with us? That's relevant to our field?
Yes. I'm trying to think. I don't remember the bill number.
That's okay.
But there is one that is about condos and building condos, so that we are opposing it, actually, because it's going to force condos and the build of the condos very quickly and not have as many restrictions. However, we've seen that happen in the past, as history kind of repeats itself. We've seen it happen in the past where if we don't have specific restrictions, they build a really crappy building. And in 10 years, that building's falling apart. And so we want to make sure, yes, affordability is on our forefront, but also we need to have some sort of a quality to that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, selling condos right now is hard for anybody. I mean, it's because there's HOAs and I mean, so many restrictions and, I mean, pending lawsuits.
But the
and so many
condo
things.
environment is changing drastically right now in the Portland area, right?
It really
because,
is.
With condo clusters. So we've moved away from the model of building like big, tall ones to 4 or 5 and taking one lot and splitting it to like 4 or 5 condos and then selling them for like $300,000 a pop, which to me has been really interesting. Like I've had a few clients, qualify for the SDC exemptions where the builder will get to waive their SDC fees because they keep it at a certain price point and sell it to somebody that makes less than 80% of the AMI. Or there's also the tax exemption if you sell the whole tax exemption if you sell under a certain amount in the Portland area. So it seems like at the current moment that model of building 4 or 5 like attached condos on a lot seems to be like the most affordable way to bring in new housing stock, right?
Yeah.
And so help me understand that like this cottage cluster thing's already been passed and people are doing that, but this bill you were saying was trying to make it so they could build them faster, or
Yes, and with lesser quality.
Okay, so your specific argument against this bill is that you want to make sure that quality is put in place.
Right. We're not cutting corners and they're using, siding that's going to end up having mold all over it and causing health hazards, right?
Okay.
Stuff like that we're trying to focus on. Another one was EV charging stations that would be required for new apartments or condos, per how many parking spots you have or units.
Yep.
And the problem with that, so it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because we're here to go, yeah, sure, we love environment stuff. I actually have an EV car, but we're realtors and our biggest concern is affordability. And so now when you're saying, hey, builder, we're also now going to require you to do this and add this, how's that affecting our affordability?
Yeah, we ran into that in our project in Salem that we're building 41 units. So Salem required us to have it a certain number of spaces EV ready. We didn't have to put in the chargers, but we had to put in the capacity to put in chargers later if we needed to, which I thought was a decent compromise between like forcing the infrastructure versus just having the wires there ready to go, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this bill you're saying is forcing the actual chargers or just being EV ready?
The chargers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And then there's a lot
It's
of...
kind of like being solar ready versus
Right.
Putting in the solar panels. Like it's a lot to put on the solar panels, but being solar ready is kind of a nice compromise.
So the
wires
So you can, so you don't have to cut everything out and then put the wires in and then redo it. Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So the planning for like being EV ready, I mean, that's before you pour the concrete for the slab where the parking is going to be. You need all the wiring to be in place.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think that should be crazy expensive.
Yeah.
But it just requires proper planning.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's good to have it up front, right, in the code. That way it gets done. But yeah, to your point, I think there's a nice space between affordability and helping encourage environmentally better practices, I guess.
Exactly. Big one, Southern Oregon stuff is wildfires. And so some bills associated to the rebuild of your home, and they were limiting the square footage that you could rebuild your home to.
No, it sounds like the LA wildfires. I think they have some of those restrictions too already.
Probably, yeah. So I'm sure that they do, but it was something like if you had a 3,000 square foot home, you could only build 2,500 square feet in a replacement. So we kind of thought, is that really fair? The home was there. It was, the home didn't cause the fire.
Yeah.
It just burned down.
I mean, we were paying for insurance for a reason to
Yeah.
get us back to where we were originally, and if the state is going to restrict us, that's really frustrating.
Right.
Yeah, those are all really interesting because a lot of those homes, were built like a long time ago, and for like a really small amount of money, and now trying to rebuild them is like you're paying $700,000-800,000. So it's kind of a tough.
That's
tough
an
for
insurance
the,
problem.
Well,
that's for
there's
them.
a lot of
that is
insurance
that is an insurance problem, but that becomes all of our problem when we all pay into an insurance policy that like right now Oregon's one of the states that actually is in a good space insurance wise, but it might not be that way forever. Like in California, as we saw, they're not in that space, right? And so some of those laws can be helpful in making it so that, you know, we stay in a space where we're still insurable,
Right.
which is where we want to be, right?
Right, and some of these laws as well, it's not necessarily that we totally get our way.
Yeah.
It's more so that we are there as a voice. And so during the bill process, there's a lot of amendments that happen after the bills have dropped. And so there's lots of changes when they hear from all the different avenues to how do we better this bill now?
Yeah.
And so saying, okay, how do we better this, and how can we make it so that it's not so restrictive, or you know, landlord-tenant stuff and things like that. How do we approach this?
Because sometimes they have a solution that they've only thought about it one step out, instead of thinking about all the repercussions that could happen when they implement these things, which I've seen. And you know, that's why we have advocacy and go down to Salem and, you know, push our representatives on that. So.
Yeah. And then on the federal side, I'm the federal political coordinator for Senator Wyden. I was recently appointed to that position, and so I'll be meeting with him in June in DC and going over some of our big national bills that we're really trying to push.
Oh, that's a new one I didn't know you had, which I'm just like, surprise, surprise. like honestly, I don't know how you do it.
Schedule blocking.
Well, I mean, like I was gonna say, like, you know, obviously full-time mom, you're riding a tractor around on your farm, you're managing 3 brokerages, you have 8 committees. I mean, like seriously, how do you do it other than just the simple answer of time blocking? What is your answer for someone who wants to do all these things or wants to do a million things?
Well, I did not plan to have all of these at once. There's 2 other like community ones that I have also that are outside of real estate. I can't say no. That's no problem. It's when the door was knocked, I felt like I needed to open it because the opportunity was there, and they were roles I did want to have, and I didn't want to miss that opportunity to be in those roles. Don't want them all at once, but it has worked out. It doesn't mean it's going to work out for everybody, and I think that everybody has to assess their own lifestyle. I have an amazing supportive family, and so they know that I'm very passionate about these things, and if I didn't have that, it wouldn't work.
Okay. And I mean, you know, being a leader in so many of these things, like how are you delegating things? Or are you delegating things?
No, I delegate with, you know, I have staff that helps with things, but I have also the support within those communities. So, for instance, like Women's Council, I have support within there. It does not have to fall, just because I'm president, it does not have to fall on my shoulders to do all of it.
I mean, I'd be very impressed if you did.
Manage it.
Because that's what I do sometimes.
Yeah, we're learning.
We're learning. I'm sure we're both a little bit of perfectionists.
Yeah, it is hard to pass that on to somebody else, but also being able to say, I can't do it all. I shouldn't do it all.
No, I agree.
I don't have to do it all. I have a team, and we forget to tap the shoulder of that teammate and
100%.
say, can you help me send out this email?
Yep.
You know.
Okay. I know you have to go kind of soon, but if someone was looking to get started in, oh my God, out of all the things you're doing,
how about real estate investing? Yeah, just like buying a place, their first home. What would you recommend?
What would I recommend they do?
Yeah. How do you get started?
Buying their first investment.
Talk to your realtor. There's so much you can nerd out on, and I would take it with a grain of salt of what's on YouTube, because you get some kind of wacky investor ideas that just aren't not customary, but I don't know so they're necessarily legal either. So be careful what information you're seeking. Ask, anybody that you can ask me, ask these guys that have been involved in it, and we'll tell you play a little truth or dare with it or something, about investing. But I think you just have to seek out mentors. You have to be open to seeking out mentors in that position.
Find somebody that's done some investing.
Yeah.
Perfect. And if someone was interested in joining your brokerage, John L. Scott, or getting a hold of you directly, what's the best way to find you?
I'm everywhere.
Literally just step outside your door.
I will be there. You can call me, 503-758-4645. Text me, email me, cindyt at johnlscott.com, or all the socials. I'm on all of them.
Okay. Well, Cindy, thank you so much
Thank
for coming
you.
on.
Yeah, thanks for the time. Yeah, we really appreciate it.
This was great. Looking forward to